Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader and today we'll be focusing on the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the statements of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past week during the participation of the 25th anniversary of the 4th World Conference on Women at the United Nations or the UN, and the main statements made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during his participation and the speech at this great event, as we'll be focusing as well and concentrating on the achievements of women and the women empowerment under President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the tenure of President al-Sisi in the past 6 or 7 years. We'll be having a report about the main statements made by President al-Sisi on such a huge occasion for the women in Egypt and the Middle East in the upcoming report. So let's see it.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi told the United Nations General Assembly earlier last week that Egypt has taken steady steps towards the achievement of equality and the empowerment of women in recent years. His remarks came during a speech delivered by video to the body on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the 4th World Conference on Women and the adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. The event had the theme of accelerating the realism of gender equality and the empowerment of all women and all girls. President al-Sisi emphasized that women present half of the society and must be taken care of to ensure the renaissance, reform and progress of society as a whole and to achieve sustainable development. He noted that last year Egypt celebrated 100 years of Egyptian women's participation in the public life, and it was one of the first countries in the world to set a national strategy for the protection and empowerment of women politically, economically, and socially. He states that the legislative framework related to women has also been developed by adopting a number of new laws and amending existing legislation, and as a result, Egyptian women will be guaranteed full equality and equal opportunities, and their active participation in the community movement will be ensured without any discrimination. President al-Sisi reiterated that such efforts have proved successful, adding that as a result, women's representation in the cabinet and the Egyptian parliament has increased to 25%, in parallel with their occupancy of senior positions in the judiciary and other important positions, including as a provincial governor and national security advisor.
يستطيع أن يطمئن ويأمن بعد خوف أنه قد أصبح له درع وسيف.
لقد اتخذ السادات قرار حرب أكتوبر المجيدة في ظل ظروف صعبة البطل المصري الذي تظل سيرته ملهمة لنا وللأجيال القادمة من بعدنا، فأجاد التخطيط والإعداد والترتيب سياسياً من خلال عبقرية واضحة مشهود لها، وعسكرياً من خلال كفاءة وقدرة قواتنا المسلحة العظيمة.
حين تمكنت القوات المسلحة المصرية من اقتحام مانع قناة السويس الصعب واجتياح خط بارليف المنيع وإقامة رؤوس جسور لها على الضفة الشرقية من القناة بعد أن أفقدت العدو توازنه كما قلت في 6 ساعات.
فكان الانتصار الذي أعاد لمصر وللأمة العربية بأسرها الكرامة والشرف، إن رسالة السادات لكم كانت واضحة، وجوهرها أن مصر تعلو ولا يعلى عليها، وأنها تطلب السلام العادل الذي تحميه القوة القادرة.
مهما كانت التضحية ومهما كانت تكاليف هذه المعركة هندفعها بإذن الله وهنحارب معركتنا، ولكن لن نسلم في إرادتنا ولا في سنتي من أرضنا ولا الأرض العربية.
ما ينتهيش الدرس في أكتوبر، الدرس لازم تعرفوا الأجيال، ولا يتنسيش النصر في أكتوبر، النصر يخلق كل يوم أبطال. لك يا مصر، لك يا مصر.
As we did see in the past break, for the sake of Egypt and for the future generations, the lesson of the October War victory for Egypt against Israel cannot be forgotten and should be learned to the future generations of Egypt. And from the victory of Egypt that we are celebrating the 47th anniversary of it, in this week, during the course of the week, and more specifically on the 6th of October on Tuesday, we are focusing tonight on different victories for Egypt in the past 6 or 7 years under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, more specifically women empowerment. And tonight, over the phone, I'm honored to be having with me Dr. Hala Yusri, the Deputy Head of the Rural Women Committee at the National Council for Women, to be focusing on those achievements. Dr. Hala, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
You're more than welcome. It's my honor to be with you celebrating our 47th celebration at 6th of October, inshallah.
Yes, exactly, Doctor. The 47th anniversary, as I said, of the October War victory, which took place for Egypt against Israel in 1973. Today, we are focusing on the victories of Egypt, inside Egypt, for women under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, gender equality and women empowerment. How do you see them in the past 6 or 7 years?
I think in the last six years, we have achieved a lot. And everyone in Egypt could notice the difference in the women achievements and women empowerment in all sectors and on all levels, like on the legal level, on the implementation level, in the villages, in the cities, all around Egypt. We can easily see women getting in decision-making positions, taking responsibilities, acting with the whole responsibility, in trying to achieve all the best they can do to prove that they are really Egyptian women, and they can really, you can count on them in all responsibilities they can, they will be able to do. In Constitution,
yes,
we have in Egypt, in our Constitution, have like 20 items to ensure that women's rights in all various sectors. So we have to depend all our achievements on all these 20 items. So we are institutionalization of our rights in all sectors. And this is the ultimate goal that we should all target in our in all our activities.
Yes, Doctor, we can see right now footage of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the messages of President al-Sisi during the speech that he addressed the world, and more specifically the 25th anniversary of the 4th World Forum on Women at the United Nations. Firstly, what is the World Forum on Women, the 25th anniversary of it, and the Beijing Declaration, which fought for the women's rights all over the world 25 years ago?
Actually, women's current achievements, it goes back years and years.
Yes.
And the accumulation of all our efforts is coming to be noticeable and appreciated, not only in Egypt, but in the entire world. Like we, in Egypt, we are the second country on the international level to get the honor of having gender equality.
Yes.
Stamped, you know, in the entire world, and this is like an achievement of the year. But we have lots of achievements on the social level, economical level, and on the political level as well.
Yes, before dissecting the achievements on the political, the economic and the social levels in Egypt in terms of women empowerment and the gender equality in the country, this year's conference at the United Nations is focusing on bridging the gaps and seeing the obstacles that are facing women empowerment in the world. Under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, how did he see those gaps being bridged?
Actually, those gaps is really being filled because, first of all, we have political will and we have political support.
Yes.
And, you know, we can easily say that our president is supporting women because, not only because they are women and we can, you know, these are all the quotations, but because we deserve it, because we are capable, because we can make the change we want to. We can create the new future that we all dream to have. So counting on women in Egypt, that is something which are not, you know, what's the difference between yesterday and today. Today, the women, they are in a position, in the decision-making positions, making a tremendous change in these positions, either on the executive level, ministers' levels, parliamentarians' level, and even on the NGOs level. You know, you could see on the civil society, women is going here and there, and
yes,
they are helping in marginalized places, in rural areas, desert areas, everywhere. So women are getting more and more active, getting more and more power with the support of the political will and our President el-Sisi.
Yes, one of those efforts by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in 2017, the president announced a national strategy for the empowerment of women. How did he see this effort 3 years ago and the results of such an initiative nowadays?
Actually, having a strategy for women in Egypt is something very unique. That means that we have a vision, we have a mission, we have policies. And the most important part in this is that all the ministers are working together in a very homogeneous way, in a harmonized way, you know, in a harmonized manner to achieve this strategy, work together, act together, and this is what was really absent before. We used to have like isolated islands. Everyone is working by themselves, but now everyone is working in a very harmonized manner to achieve women's strategy here in Egypt. And we are working on all levels to help to have Egypt, our Egypt, in a lot better position. We want it to be like that, and it will be the best country in the entire world, inshallah.
Yes, and my final question, Doctor, would be coming from the year 2019 as one of the efforts and one of the steps as well made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi towards women empowerment and gender equality in the country took place as amendments were made to the personal status law or the family law here in Egypt. How do you see those amendments away from the political aspect and the economic aspect of the women empowerment and straight into the social aspects of them?
You know, there is a lot of programs directing women, either social protection, economical empowerment, political empowerment. All together, they have to target women on all levels, from the local community up to the ministers. If we have to reach out to every woman in Egypt,
yes,
so they can act and help the others to have a sustainable communities that we can count on to build a real development from bottom up, inshallah.
Inshallah. Dr. Hala Yusri, the Deputy Head of the Rural Women Committee at the National Council for Women. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate. A very special episode from a very special week as we are celebrating the 47th anniversary of the October war victory for Egypt against Israel, which took place, and we are celebrating it on the 6th of October, the upcoming Tuesday, as we will be having a month of celebrations, more specifically this week, the week of achievements, the 6th of October. And tonight we are celebrating another achievement by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, which took place over the 6 or 7 years under the tenure, under the directives and under the instructions of President al-Sisi in the field of women empowerment and gender equality. Following the upcoming break, I will be having here in the studio Dr. Huda Dos, the member of the Orthodox Counseling Institute, to be focusing more on such an important issue in Egypt nowadays, so stay tuned.
Egypt's women have always been its trumping card. For so many years, women have played a key role in all sectors on all levels. A part of their political contribution, Egyptian women have always been able to adapt different and tough social situations. As for years, women have done a lot in silence. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi honored a huge number of women who were described as social fighters. 2017 has decided to be named the Women's Year as recognition of what they did for their country. The country's leadership has developed a strategy towards women empowerment, including 6 main axes: women's empowerment and linked to sustainable development, financing gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls, women's leadership and their full and equal participation in decision-making, strengthening gender-responsive data collection, follow-up and receive processes, enhancing natural and national institutional arrangements and good practices. Legal-wise, the 2014 Constitution enhanced the legal framework for women as for the first time 20 articles dedicated to addressing women's issues regarding ensuring equal opportunities for women, transferring the nationality to their children, allocating a quarter of the seats of local councils to women, social, economic, and political rights, among others. Setting strategies, women always had the priority as nearly up to 5 governmental strategies were announced during the past years for women empowerment. In March 2017, President Sisi announced and endorsed the National Strategy for the Empowerment of Egyptian Women to be the national policy and guiding document for the government. Among the efforts done for women empowerment was dedicating amounts from the national budget for childcare services and for supporting female breadwinners and poor families. A total of 38 million women were announced by the government to benefit from the bread and flour subsidies, 34 million women benefited from the food rations cards, and 10 million women benefited from health care support. The Egyptian government has recently taken concrete strategic steps to enhance the financial inclusion for women, such as presidential decree has been issued in February 2017 to establish a national council for payments, with the president of the republic being the head of the council. Egypt is the first Arab country and the second globally to develop a certification program for government and private sector based on the success of the Gender Equality Seal.
تحية تقدير خاصة للمرأة المصرية العظيمة، بنات وسيدات النيل وصانعات السعادة والنماء، عظيمات مصر. إن تطور ورقي أي مجتمع إنما يقاس بدرجة تطوره الثقافي والأخلاقي والمعرفي، ويرتبط ارتباطا وثيقا بتطور ثقافة ووعي المرأة ومساهماتها الفاعلة في بناء المجتمع وتنميته. وتستمر مسيرة كفاح المرأة لتحصل على حق الانتخاب وممارسة الحقوق السياسية كاملة، وقبل ذلك الحق في التعليم وشغل أي من المناصب والوظائف العامة، وصولا لهذا اليوم الذي نرى فيه المرأة في جميع ميادين العمل الوطني. إن المرأة المصرية أثبتت جيلا بعد جيل وعلى مدار التاريخ المصري الطويل أنها طرف أساسي في معادلة الوطن.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate and the very special episode focusing on the efforts of the political leadership and the government under President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past 6 or 7 years under his tenure to be reaching and attaining women empowerment and gender equality in the Egyptian society on different levels, politically, economically, and even socially and psychologically. And we'll be focusing on the statements made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during his speech at the 25th anniversary celebration of the 4th Women Forum or Conference globally on Women at the United Nations, and his participation in such an important conference and an important speech, having many statements that we'll be dissecting tonight on the Daily Debate, the week of victory for Egypt and the 47th anniversary of the Egyptian victory, the October War victory against Israel. We will be celebrating on the 6th of October, dating back to 1973. Tonight, I am honored to be having with me in the studio Dr. Huda Dos, the consultant clinical pathology. Thank you very much for being with us tonight, doctor.
Thank you.
First of all, you have seen the speech and you've heard the statements made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding women in general and women empowerment and the gender equality in the past 6 years under his tenure. How did you see those statements at this phase of the Egyptian history?
I think Egypt has been a pioneer in empowering women and giving them a kind of protection and strength in different levels, like social level, political, economic, and even psychological, that has been focused on the last few years. Actually, for many years, women have been playing a main role in the community, not only a wife, a mom, an aunt, or sister, but also she has been playing a role in the community as in general. And we have seen many names. When I went through the names of ministers,
Yes.
I found that many ministers were women. In the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Social Solidarity, and Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of International Cooperation, Ministry of Health, and even Ministry of Immigration. So I found really that women have been excelling very much in many areas in the country, and we are very proud of that, really.
Yes, President al-Sisi also spoke about the fact that Egypt has witnessed the 100th anniversary of the participation of the Egyptian women in public life. How do you see the history of Egypt in women empowerment?
Actually, especially the few years that passed, it has been, women have been given very much awareness.
Yes.
And there is a lot of empowerment given to her in the different society. Actually, on the educational level, actually it has been progressing very much. Even 25% has increased in the cabinet and the parliament that women have been involved in as well.
In your opinion, throughout the Egyptian history and the recent history of the country, what are the main figures, the female figures that inspired progress and prosperity in women empowerment?
There are many figures, actually, as we said, the names of many ministers that have really proved themselves to be very efficient and they're working together very homogeneous, and they have a lot of not only knowledge but understanding of what is going on around, and feeling people in Upper Egypt and also in and Lower Egypt.
Yes, in the first part of the episode we witnessed we spoke about the economic aspects of women empowerment, the political aspect of women empowerment. Would you tell me more about the psychological awareness aspect of women empowerment in Egypt, as we do need to be knowing more about this field?
Actually, this is a very important field because a woman needs to really have time management to be all the roles together, being a wife, a mother, all her daily activities,
Yes.
and being maybe having a role in the country, and a very important role. So time management is one of the most important things that really gives women strength and trying to continue. On the psychological level, it is very important that women work on themselves, and this could be with putting more programs for awareness for women on the psychological level,
Yes.
because this strength women to continue and to know how to accomplish all the duties she has. So on the psychological level, she really needs first to reconcile with herself and reconcile with the pain she has in life, to reconcile with God and reconcile with the others, so that she can achieve and have better achievements. Also, on the psychological level, it is very important that she achieves more skills in life and maybe social skills as well, as this helps her
Yes.
to accomplish more in the community.
Yes, we will be returning once again to the psychological awareness aspect of the women empowerment. But I have over the phone Dr. Noha Bakr, the professor of political science. Doctor, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and honor.
The pleasure is all mine. Doctor, speaking about the statements made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during his speech at the participation of the 25th anniversary of the Fourth Women Conference on Women to the United Nations. How do you see the statements made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past 2 days?
Well, actually, the statements that were made is a continuation of the Egyptian policy of empowering women. It's a continuation of the political will that has emerged after 2013 to empower women on political, economic, and social level, to increase the public awareness in the society about the role of women and providing women with all possible chances in order to be able to flourish on different venues.
Yes, Doctor, the conference this year of the United Nations is focused on the gaps and the challenges that are facing women empowerment and the gender equality in the world. How do you see those issues being tackled here in Egypt under the tenure of President al-Sisi?
Actually, these gaps, first thing is the awareness that the gaps exist. The first step is to be aware that there is a problem, and then to work on overcoming such issues. The first step to overcome such issues was the legislative changes. We've seen legislative changes to empower women. Then came the economic empowerment through offering them finances to do projects,
Yes.
or through giving them opportunities for jobs, through empowering them in different levels. Also the political empowerment. For the first time, we have this number of women in the cabinet. This actually is including women in the decision-making process. We see it also in the legislative system, where 25% have to be women in the parliament. We see it also in the persistence of taking different measures to make women live in a proper, dignified way and fill the gaps. But the issue is not only by all the decisions taken from upwards. Also, it has to work from the bottom of the society, and that's why the government is working with the civil society hand in hand in order to empower women.
Yes, in 2017, we did see the initiative of the National Strategy for the Empowerment of Women announced by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. How did you see this step 3 years back and the results of such an initiative in 2020?
Well, these steps were mainly in order to demonstrate the political will. It was translated into institutions and in putting the proper leadership in these institutions that believe in the role of women. Also on working in a comparative approach, looking at what other nations have done to empower women and working with the society from within in order to enhance women's capacities, in order that they can fulfill their role in the society, because it is the best for all the society that women will be treated equally and have equal chance to flourish, to serve their society.
Yes, and in 2019, we did see another initiative and amendments by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, not just on the political level for the women empowerment or on the economic level for the gender equality, but on the social level, the amendments made to the family law here in Egypt or the personal status law. How did you see those interventions and those amendments for the sake of women here in the country?
Well, actually, in order for women to flourish, they have to be secured when it comes to family. It was not only the family law, but also the inheritance law, the FGM, different legislations in order to make women have a dignified role and to honor women. And simply this, in order to be manifested, it needs also to have the society to support it. It will take time to change the culture of the society. It takes time. It takes education. It takes media and press role. It takes having a role model to look up to it. And I think that the National Council for Women, headed by Dr. Maya Morsi, is doing an excellent job. I'm sure that curriculums in schools have been reviewed in order to put into the curriculums what explains the importance of the role of women, changing the narrative, the religious narrative that is negatively speaking about women. We're working in Egypt on different pillars in order to reach our goal.
Yes, Dr. Noha Bakr, the Professor of Political Science, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate. Thank you very much. Dr. Huda, we were speaking about the psychological awareness aspects of the women empowerment here in Egypt. As a consultant, of course, you deal with a big number of females and women from different age brackets all over the country. How do you see, as the conference this year for the United Nations is focusing on the gaps and the problems and the obstacles that are facing women empowerment, in your opinion, what are the main obstacles that are facing women empowerment here in Egypt nowadays?
Actually, maybe they're facing, actually the last period they have been accomplishing more about gender equity and having been in different roles in the country.
Yes.
But maybe they are facing a little bit that it has been a long time that women has passed through low self-esteem.
Yes.
Due to a certain discrimination that has been put for a long time, and this needs every single woman and girl to work on herself, because everyone has this part that there is a low self-esteem one should work on. Actually, this is personal. One should work on herself, and the country could help giving more psychological awareness about that. Because if one can't achieve getting over the low self-esteem, this will be a real obstacle for everyone. This really is an obstacle for achievement in general. So I think psychological awareness will be very important.
But how can we get over such a problem, the low self-esteem for men and for women in specific, especially that we are living in the social media world on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and always comparing each other with the different lives that we're living now?
Yes, I know it's very difficult because everyone is comparing himself to another category.
Yes.
So it's always there. But one should have a source of a self-esteem that will not be changed. That he has been born for a reason in life. That he is special. He is. She and he are their daughter of the Lord, so they are very special in this way. So when one sees himself on a basis that is not changed, the self-esteem will be taken in a different way, and one will see himself through the eyes of God. So God says, "You are beautiful. There is no flaw in you." So that's what I should be seeing myself. So God, when created us, He created us with no flaw and beautiful. So when one sees himself in the eyes of God and eyes of the Creator who created every woman and every girl, and when one goes back to the Creator, he will know that they are very special. They are born for a reason, and actually they have a meaning in life. Every one of us has a meaning. There is a book called Man Born for a Meaning by Viktor Franklin. It is very important to know that I have a meaning in life, and this helps in knowing my my value, and my value is best kept when it's on a basis that is not changed in the eyes of God, not in the eyes of people.
Yes, we did see President Al-Sisi in the past years, in the past 2 or 3 years, speaking about the divorce rates here in Egypt, that we need to be lowering that, we need to be decreasing that. And that is a very important point that you've mentioned, Doctor, to be knowing your self-worth and getting over the low self-esteem problem would be getting us back together, to be having the family back together. It would be increasing the possibility of being together and decreasing the divorce rates here in Egypt. The political leadership itself has launched a campaign or an effort or an initiative called Mawadda. How do you see this important step to be lowering the divorce rates here in the country?
Definitely, it is very important. Sometimes the word empowerment makes men not very comfortable about being empowering women.
Yes.
But I like more the word strengthening women, strengthening their values, strengthening their or increasing their protection. Actually, women in a humble way, they should submit to their husbands, and we say that a husband loves his wife and a wife submit to her husband. This doesn't mean that the husband doesn't need love, but the most important thing for the husband, that he needs to be respected, so that's why she needs to submit. And for the women, the most important thing for her is to love, to be loved. So, but this doesn't mean that the husband doesn't submit. As Abraham and Sarah, he also submitted to Abraham, submitted to Sarah. So when the basics are really understood well, and when there is awareness about the role of everyone, this will be really a good achievement for the whole community.
Yes, President Al-Sisi and the political leadership also has great importance for the mothers in the country, in Egypt, and they always speak about them and the importance of mothers in Egypt. How do you see the political leadership supporting mothers in Egypt?
Actually, I liked very much that President Sisi has honored few women which are maybe they're unknown for the community, but they were made known by being honored.
Yes.
One of them that has been working for 40 years, and she was as a man, and
Yes.
And I really was very touched by that she has been honored for that. Actually. Mothers need to take care of themselves first, to know how to take care of their children.
Yes.
When we're in an airplane, we tell them, the mother first put oxygen mask for yourself and then put the oxygen mask for your child.
Yes.
So she needs to take care of herself first. She needs to have self-compassion on herself. She needs to love herself. She needs to be psychologically aware of herself. If she doesn't do this to herself, what she doesn't have, she can't give.
She needs to be strong to be supporting others.
Yes, so really, this is very important. And mothers should take care of themselves so that they can support others and their children.
Switching from Mawadda, or the programs that we have spoken about, from the psychological support, from the political support to women in the country, we need to be focusing on the economic inclusion and the financial inclusion and the support given from the political leadership to the women of Egypt. One of the programs that was launched was Takaful and Karama for the Egyptian family in general, and of course the Egyptian women in specific. How do you see this step?
Definitely, it was a very important step that has been done, and many women have been grateful to that. It is, and many have, the widows and have been put in a certain category, and they have been honored very much in that.
Yes.
Actually, what I like most, that I realized that the community has known that women are very important. They have a very important role as peacemakers as well, and that there are efforts that have been done in this part, and it is not protection of human rights. that is enough. It can't be achieved, protection of human rights, without the achievement of women rights. So actually going through women rights, this will accomplish the human rights in general.
Speaking about the rights of women in the past 6 or 7 years under the tenure of President Al-Sisi, and how they see the future of women under President Al-Sisi, as a quick comparison between the past and, of course, the 6 years under President Al-Sisi.
Definitely, we can all realize that women have been proving herself in many roles, as we said, and even in the parliament, in the ministry, in many roles, and this has been realized very much. It wasn't realized as much before.
Yes, and finally, we are celebrating the 47th anniversary of the 6th of October war victory on Tuesday this week. What would you say on such a great occasion? And as we did see in a past break during the course of the episode, that this lesson needs to be learned to the future generations.
Yes, all generations should learn about that, how Egypt accomplished this victory, and it is an honor for all of us.
Yes, Dr. Huda Dost, the consultant clinical pathology, thank you very much for being with us today on the Daily Debate. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight, as we focused on the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the speech and the main statements that were made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding women empowerment, gender equality in the country in the past 7 or 6 years under his tenure, during his participation in the 25th anniversary of the 4th World Forum on Women at the United Nations, a very special episode and the very special week celebrating the 47th anniversary of the 6th of October war victory for Egypt against Israel in the upcoming Tuesday. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
فلسفة الخطة حققت كل اللي احنا عايزينه وكل الذي يكرهه العدو. حجمنا القوات الجوية بتاعته، أرغمناه على أنه يقاتل بالمواجهة، وهو لا يحب هذا الأسلوب من القتال إطلاقا. فرضنا عليه قتال لمدة طويلة، نستطيع أن نطيل المدة شهور دون أن نتأثر وهو يتأثر.
ولقد كنت أعرف جوهر قواتنا المسلحة، ولم يكن حديثي عنها رجما بالغيب ولا تكهنا. لقد خرجت من صفوف هذه القوات المسلحة وعشت بنفسي تقاليدها، وتشرفت بالخدمة في صفوفها وتحت ألويتها. إن سجل هذه القوات كان باهرا.
أكتوبر 73، بقاء شعب ونماء أمة.